Hello Year 7, Miss Shearman here, and today's lesson is on adolescence. Okay, first of all, there are 3 do now questions here. In your Google worksheet, there are the questions and spaces for you to pop your answers. So please complete that either now by pausing the video or wait until the end of the video. Okay, so most of you would have heard of adolescence. You are all adolescents. And adolescence is the period of life between which a child starts to grow and becomes an adult. Now, in this time, the period between childhood and adulthood, all adolescents go through something called puberty. Now, that's when your body begins to develop and change as you move from a child to an adult. Some of you will have noticed changes already, some of you won't have, and that's okay. You will all go through puberty at some point. Now, puberty is caused and controlled by hormones. Your body at a certain age starts to release hormones, which helps you change and grow into the adults that your mums, your dads, your brothers, your sisters, your caregivers, your grandparents, whomever is in your household and that are grown ups, they would have gone through this already. Okay, so have a think. What changes do you think take place through puberty? What changes do you expect to happen to your body by the time you grow up? Okay, when does it happen? Now, puberty is a really difficult time for teenagers. Some children laugh at the things you're going to learn today, and it's okay to find some things funny. Some people think it's rude, some people think it's something to giggle about, but really it's something that every human on the planet, and there are billions of humans, will go through. And it's not really funny, it's really important. And it's really important for you to understand what's happening to your body and what happens to people as they grow up, because that's what's going to happen to you. So, when does it happen? Okay. For boys, it's between the age of 11 and 14. Now, this can vary. Sometimes boys don't go through puberty till they're 16 years old. Some boys start at 11. Every child is different, every human is different, and that is absolutely okay. Now, girls go through puberty much earlier than boys. They can start puberty at the age of 8 and sometimes at 14. But I know some girls who haven't started puberty until they're 16 years old. And that's okay too. We'll all get to the same stage in the end. Okay, so the average age of puberty for boys is 12. And the average age of puberty for girls is 11. So girls always start puberty a little bit earlier than boys. Okay, so I want you to pause the video, have some thinking time, perhaps talk to someone in your family or someone at home about what changes do you think happen in boys and girls during puberty. Are the changes the same in both boys and girls, or are some different? You shouldn't be embarrassed to ask people these questions, because we are here to teach you about it, and so are people in your family. So go for it. Have a little think or ask somebody what changes happen in boys and girls during puberty. Okay. So there are a lot of changes that happen in boys and girls during puberty. Now, this seems a bit of a shocking picture, doesn't it? But this picture is showing some very obvious physical changes in the body between adolescents, young adults, young children, all the way to adulthood. Now, mood swings here, this was supposed to come up last, but mood swings is a massive thing you'll feel, but we mustn't laugh at pictures that include male and female genitalia when it comes to biology lessons and learning about the body. This is normal. This is a normal thing to learn about. If you want to laugh at it, giggle at home, but in class, you'll be expected to be mature and learn about this in a very mature way. So there are lots of changes that can happen for men and women during puberty. Now, some of them are really obvious. There are some that happen to boys and girls alone, and some that happen to both men and women. So in this case, we're looking at both the changes that happen during puberty for men and women. So mood swings is one of them. Teenagers are renowned for being moody. And unfortunately for you guys, that's because of hormones. You can control how you act upon your mood swings, but the mood swings and the way you feel inside, sometimes you can't help. Okay, so both boys and girls as teenagers get smellier body odor. That's because the release of these hormones, these little messengers inside your body, cause your body to sweat more. And also the hormones themselves, believe it or not, in your sweat can give off an odor and make you smellier. But this is quite obvious. You can see between this girl and boy compared to the adult female and male, they are much shorter, so you grow taller. You get spots. Unfortunately, lots of teenagers get spots, and that's because your body starts to produce more oil on your skin to help protect your skin, and hormones actually feed bacteria that's all over your face. And because you're releasing more hormones, those bacteria get really, really, really full on your hormones, and they cause reactions on your face, which makes your body make spots. Sounds disgusting, but it's all natural, and most people will get stop producing spots once they get out of puberty. So obviously your hands and feet grow. Babies' hands are tiny. By the time, and this is the same for a child. For an 8-year-old, their hand size will be completely different to the size of when they're an adult. Okay, so girls. The main one here for girls is a really important one. During puberty, the menstrual cycle starts. Now, that is what you might know as your period. The blood will be released from the uterus, which is in here, out of the vagina, and that is the way in which females can reproduce to make babies. The blood lining, which you'll learn in the next lesson, makes a really lovely good cushion for developing embryos and fetuses. And if you haven't got a fetus in there, there's no need to hold on to your blood, so your body releases it. Your breasts develop. So breasts are evolved to feed babies milk. That is it. There is nothing funny about breasts. Breasts come in different shapes and sizes. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but inherently, breasts are there to feed young. So, pubic hair will grow. Now that's the same for boys as well. So that perhaps should have been on the other slide. Your underarm hair will grow, the same for boys. But females' hips widen. If you look at this young girl's hips here, they're quite narrow. But in the female body, they go wider. That is to make space for the babies that your body is aiming to produce as you grow older. Now, boys. Okay, so first of all, their Adam's apple, the lump in your throat, gets larger. And this leads to their voices getting deeper. And that's why some boys will go for that really, really embarrassing time of getting a really crackly voice. Their voice goes, but that's just because their body's growing and changing. And that's okay. By the time they're an adult, they'll have a deeper voice and they won't be crackling any longer. They'll grow facial hair. Now, some women will get light facial hair on their bodies, but that's because men get more facial hair because they release a real hormone called testosterone, which we'll talk about later. And that's released more in men. It is in women, but only ever such a slight bit. And because it's released more in men, they grow facial hair. Their penis gets longer. Now, this can happen at any time, but some male penises do not get to full length until some people are 18 to 20 years old, because puberty can actually last up until 20 years old for a man. Now, erections happen in children. Now, an erection is the stiffening of the penis due to blood flow into the penis. Now, children and young boys have involuntary erections, but as puberty uh, comes on, these erections become more frequent and often occur because the man has become aroused. This is ready for sexual reproduction, which we'll touch in later lessons. And boys may have wet dreams. Now, wet dreams are when the male will ejaculate in his sleep. So, sperm and ejaculate is released from the testicles and out of the penis during sexual intercourse to help make a baby. As the penis is put into the vagina, the sperm will travel up through the vagina into the uterus and meet an egg to make a baby. We will touch on this in a later lesson. But as your boys' bodies growing, their bodies are preparing for all these changes and for all these acts of reproduction which is necessary to life. And so their bodies release semen through the night sometimes, and that's okay. It doesn't go on for too long, but it can happen at any point during puberty. Now, like boys, like girls, will go through puberty at different ages, and no boy's puberty is the same. So boys don't usually start puberty till at least 11, but some won't start until they're 15, and that is okay. So your body may look different to another boy's body at your age, but that doesn't mean to say that it's not going to change later on in life. It does not make you different if you haven't gone through it as quick as your friends have. Okay, so we've got some really important words that we use in biology when we're talking about puberty, and I've talked about most of them here. So the penis, that is the name for the male organ that allows urine and semen to leave the body. So a man will urinate and ejaculate out of the same hole. Women are different. Women have a vagina. In their vagina, they have a vaginal canal with which periods come out of and babies come out of. But they also have a tiny little hole in their vagina, which is where their urethra is. It's a different opening for where they release urine. Okay, so body odor, that's the name of the stinky smell left by dried sweat. So when sweat's released and left to dry on your skin, you get BO. Okay, so your period, I mentioned that earlier, is when women start to bleed from their vagina because that is when their body is becoming fertile and ready to reproduce to make babies. That blood is a nice cushion for any growing babies inside their uterus. However, although we start our periods very early in some cases, some children start at the age of 9, you are not to have sex legally until you're 16. So to make sure that your body's matured and you're mature enough to have a baby. Most people don't have a baby till they're over 18, but that's okay. You can't have sex until you're 16. Even though your periods come a bit earlier than that. Okay, so the wet dream, like I said, this is the name of something that happens to boys when they have an erection in their sleep and ejaculate. Pubic hair, it's the name for hair that grows around your genitals, so above your vagina and above the penis in boys and girls. The erection is the name for the stiffening of the penis as more blood flows through to the penis. And the testicles are the plum-shaped parts of the body that hang directly behind the penis, and in there is where the sperms are made. So the sperms meet the egg from a female to make a baby. Okay, so body hair. That's just what we say for hair that grows on arms, legs, and that happens in both boys and girls. And breasts typically only grow on females because the main purpose of this is for producing milk to feed babies.
We often have the illusion that we're in control of our bodies. But the reality is that it's usually our biology which controls us. And that's particularly obvious during the great roller coaster ride of puberty. We don't precisely know when it's going to start. We don't even know how long it's going to take. And although we may think we know what's going to happen, nothing can quite prepare us for exactly how we're going to feel. It feels exciting and dangerous, and you don't know where the next shock's coming from. And the worst thing is, just as you think you've mastered it, suddenly something else happens, and your body changes again. If living through puberty feels like a horror story, the villains of the piece are hormones. These tiny chemical messengers are beyond our control. Suddenly, hordes of them start racing through our bloodstream, ordering our body to change. They tell us to switch on to sex, getting us ready to make babies. They tell our muscles and bones to get bigger and stronger. They make hair sprout in unusual places. Sometimes they really let us down.
So that video was showing you the effects of some of the effects of hormones on the body. Okay, so puberty only happens when the brain, this little part in the brain called the amygdala, start producing hormones. Okay, so obviously boys and girls develop differently. So there are different hormones in boys and girls. Now, I wouldn't be a true biologist if I didn't tell you that actually males have some of the female hormones and females have some of the male hormones, but they're in really, really, really low amounts, low concentrations. So for now, what you need to remember is that females, they have estrogen and progesterone released during puberty. Estrogen is a hormone, a little messenger which goes throughout the bloodstream to different parts of your body and signals for the growth of breasts, pubic hair, the widening of hips, and estrogen, and it doesn't say it here, also helps control the development of the blood lining in your uterus, which is going to be released later in puberty. Now, progesterone is a second female hormone, and progesterone is mostly, when it comes to puberty, released as part of their menstrual cycle to allow a period to occur. Now, in male hormones, most people have heard of the word testosterone. People associate it with a very macho man kind of thing, but it's not a macho man kind of thing. It's simply a chemical messenger which goes through your body and tells in boys body hair to grow. It's particularly on your face. Now, girls have a little bit of testosterone, hence why we get leg and armpit hair, but boys have a lot more. So because they have so much more testosterone, they get to grow hair on their faces. Their voice begins to break and deepen, and they get bigger muscles. So that's why boys in general are larger and more muscular and have bigger shoulders and bigger certain structures of the body than females. Okay, so that's the end of me talking to you about adolescence today and puberty. It's time to go to the Google worksheet and answer some questions. Thank you, Year 7.